don't know how I'm gonna do this another day, but when you look into my eyes, it gives me strength, and I'll stay with you when the night gets too dark, and I'll stay with you when you can't lift your arms. I'll hold you up, I'll stay with you, 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 no matter what, in darkest nights, I'll always be by your side. No matter what, in darkest nights, I'll always be by your side. No matter what, in darkest nights, I'll always be by your side. By your side, and I'll stay with you when the night gets too dark, and I'll stay with you when you can't lift your arms. I'll hold you up, and I'll stay with you.
Hello, 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 brown-eyed girls. Esther, how are you ladies? Esther, you were missed last night in Brittany J's chat. So we got a lot to go over tonight. So first off, we got to do this Fair Use Act thingy. And please, if you don't mind, hit the thumbs up. And what I've done is I've started going through some of the videos and taken small sections, and I've put together another video of things that I think are important to look for. And then at the very end, we're going to do the first part of a behavior panel interview that Chris and Katie Proudfoot did, and see what their body reactions during the interview is. And then tomorrow we'll go on further with the rest of the behavior panel. I just love that show. I love that show. Okay, so let's get started here. Oh, I better put some music on. Oh, y'all are having spring break. Okay. Hey, Manda Panda, hello. Okay, let me put a little bit of music on here just because I am using little pieces of other people's.
But when I look into your eyes,
I can't go faster. Maybe I can't.
I can't find him. And he said, what do you mean? I said, he's not in this effing house. I can't find our son. And I jumped in my car and I drove around the neighborhood and I drove over by the school, and he's already, at this point I was hysterical and I was crying and I was screaming, and he was three-wayed law enforcement.
My son's basketball team's going to state tomorrow, so I'll probably just be able to do a thrifting video recap tomorrow. Did you hear Chris went to a date 9 or 10 months ago and told the lady his son died? I heard a little bit of a clip about that, but I didn't finish. I was kind of flipping through YouTube and I heard a little bit about that, and I didn't know the person's channel that I was watching that it was on, so I didn't go back because I didn't know if they were credible. So anyway, my son's basketball team's going to state tomorrow, and I plan to go drive the 45 minutes to where they're going to state, and hopefully there'll be a Goodwill there. And then tomorrow night I'll do a Goodwill critique video.
Can't go into details, but I can tell you we have been vetted and we have been cleared.
No, they haven't. Seth came on and said by himself that they could not be vetted or could not be cleared until the case is solved. Oh, okay. That must have been where I saw it then, because I do flip through Justin's. I don't watch Justin very often unless his thumbnail catches my attention and it's something that I might need to know. Did y'all hear that there was a body found in Memphis today? Oh my God. Over by the Memphis substation. And they haven't yet been able to determine. What they do know is that, the person was decapitated, so they didn't find a head. He was wearing a black pullover hoodie jacket type thing, and black sweatpants, and black tennis shoes, and they found a backpack and a cell phone in the same area, not right beside him, but in the same area. And so he's been taken to the state investigator crime lab, wherever they do, to find out who it is or whatever. So due to the cell phone and the duffel bag, now if it is Sebastian, then it might be that somebody placed the duffel bag there to throw people off. And if Chris and Katie were using burner phones, they might have just thrown a burner phone down there. But let's hope it was not Sebastian, and that whoever it was, the family can get closure on their loved one. So let's get back to this.
Of all possibility of wrongdoing, foul play, there's nothing.
Hello, all 5 people in my chat.
Sensor light or lights on the outside of your house?
Yes, we do have lights on the outside of our house.
Oh, let me back up just a smidge, okay? Notice it's a real fast thing, but right at the end of this clip, before it goes to Nancy Grace, and Chris talks about being vetted and cleared, he's going to laugh.
Possibility of wrongdoing, foul play, there's nothing to that.
Sensor light or lights on the.
Wonder if it's that girl that is missing in Tennessee. So many kids are missing. You know, it possibly could be. They didn't say if it was male or female. Thank you, Esther, for listening. That helps the algorithm.
The outside of your house?
Yes, we do have lights on the outside of our house.
Did they activate that night?
They're not motion censored. We have lights.
Were they on that night?
No.
Okay. Were they on that night? So the lights were out the whole night?
Yes, ma'am. We don't typically turn the floodlights on.
Were there any lights outside the house on at all?
Katie's going to say no, only the little ones in her flower bed. And Chris is going to correct her and say, yes, the ones over the garage are on all the time.
Just my little solar lights that we have in the garden.
There's
Yeah.
2 lights on the side
Hello, all I need is Jesus, coffee, and true crime. Welcome in. Thank you for coming to the channel.
of the house above the garage that are on at all times.
Oh yeah, those are
Oh, there's a light above the garage that's on at all times?
There's 2, yes ma'am.
Okay, so those lights were on?
Yes ma'am.
Okay. Had there been any family argument or altercation prior to him?
Pardon my bouncy phone. I'm sitting here videoing off of my computer screen because that's how I was told to make video clips. Yes, let's bring Sebastian home.
Going missing?
no, ma'am.
And Mr. Proudfoot, when did you leave town?
Early February.
So you had been gone for days before he went missing, is that correct?
Correct
Weeks.
ma'am.
Had you visited home since you left?
He's going to say yes.
You said from when I initially left?
Yes.
Yes ma'am. I came home February 26th, the morning I was told that he was missing.
The morning he was told Sebastian was missing. He came home that morning.
From the time that you left for the job in Memphis to February 26th, did you visit the home?
Yes ma'am.
And now he said he visited the home between February, the 1st of February and February 26th.
When?
I was home. I can't give exact dates. Law enforcement has told me not to provide exact dates, but I had been home multiple times prior to February. And then I left early February and then didn't come back till February 26th, the morning he was missing.
Again, he says the morning he went missing. I think that's a big clue that he has said twice in the same interview that he was home that morning. Because everybody else says he didn't get home till after 1 o'clock that afternoon. That ain't morning.
So you were not home from the time you left early February till Feb 26, is that right?
Correct ma'am.
Question, who called 911?
I had to go to the pharmacy today and it was 85 degrees when I left my house and turned my truck on. It said 85 degrees. I went out and planted some sunflowers and some hollyhocks this afternoon and raked up the leaves that were in my flower bed on my front porch while I was talking to Amanda Panda on the phone.
I did.
You did.
Yes,
What
ma'am.
time?
Without looking at a call log, I can't give you the exact time, but on or about 6:20.
Okay. We know he called and texted Seth at 6:22. He called law enforcement at 6:33. Chris Proudfoot, you're a big fat liar.
Got a question for you.
Yes,
I want to find out about Mr. Proudfoot hitting Sebastian with a belt. What happened?
That was actually several years ago, and it
To
was
Mr. Proudfoot, to Mr. Proudfoot, to Mr. Proudfoot.
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Proudfoot, what happened?
So I gave him a swat with a belt on his buttocks on the outside of his clothes. One swat.
We're lying about doing
Was that the first time? Was that the first time you had ever hit him with a belt?
Yes, ma'am. The one and only time, actually.
When was this?
Years ago, ma'am.
Any idea how many?
All I need is Jesus and coffee. I agree.
3, 10, 1.
It probably at least 3 years ago. I
Regarding
guess right now in regards.
That laugh before he said at least 3 makes me say, I know it was in December when he was 15. Because later when I go into some other interviews, we're going to find out that he was 15.
To my New Mexico case that actually has no relevance to the Sebastian case.
I've got a question about the belt incident. You're telling me that was the only time that you ever hit Sebastian with a belt?
Yes, ma'am.
Look
And
at this
you're
face.
also telling me that did not make it to CPS?
No, ma'am, that did not.
Watch your face. She don't believe him.
On occasion, Mr. Proudfoot, you stated that you and Mrs. Proudfoot
Oh,
have been
Esther, I love you
vetted
too.
and cleared of foul play. That was stated on Chronicles of Olivia. Is that true? What do you mean by that?
Yes. So after working with law enforcement of all agencies, they have actually told us that there is no foul play, no nefarious issues. We've been cleared of all wrongdoing. We are working extremely cooperative with all law enforcement agencies at any point in time that they've called, come to the house, anything.
When I had to identify it, sometimes I go back and I really analyze things and I'm like, what made.
The reason I'm pointing out this part of Bullhorn Betty is because when I listened to it this morning, I thought, that's exactly what I had to do. My goodness, you have more energy than I do. I'm tired just reading that. All I need is Jesus said, oh, you can't see it. Sorry. Yeah, you can't see it. She said, I washed dishes, vacuumed, went to Walmart, put some makeup on, trying to enjoy such a nice day. Oh my gosh. Well, I went to the pharmacy and to the vape store because I ran out of vape juice and I needed filters for my vape. So, and I bought groceries for tomorrow night's supper while I was, because our pharmacy is in the grocery store.
Made me feel this way? What changed my mind about this situation? I really try to do an internal checklist to find out what made me, especially in light of no real forensic or evidence that's pointing a finger to somebody. Why am I feeling this way? And when I had to go back and really identify what changed my mind, what made me start looking at the Proudfoots, it was their behavior. It was their behavior. It was just something wasn't right when they kept telling their story. It was Chris always interjecting and answering questions for Katie. It was Katie's story constantly having new additions added to it.
I agree. Their stories are never consistent from one place to the next.
It was Chris having the scratches on him. It was the fact that they weren't really searching. And then when we asked them why they weren't searching, they tell us the cops told them to stay in the house. And then on that very same day, we catch them out having barbecue. And it's like, you're out, you can leave the house to go eat, but you can't leave the house to go search for your son. And then after that, that was when they pulled out of their house the first time and decided to run off to Mississippi. And everybody's like, what?
I need to do laundry, but I hate laundry. It's the chore I hate the most. You know what? I don't mind washing my laundry and drying it and hanging it and folding it. Hello, April T. Welcome in. Okay, I don't mind actually doing the laundry, the folding, the ironing, if I need to iron something, the hanging it on a hanger. I don't mind doing all that. What I don't like is bringing it all up from the basement because we have upper level laundry. And then after I get it on the hangers and get it folded, It hangs on the clothes rack in the hallway and lays on the back of my couch until I go through all of it, and then I can just wash it again. But I'm not going to leave a big pile of clothes because I actually change into my night clothes down in the basement. What's the temperature where you're at, Brown Eye Girls? Okay, let's listen to the rest of Betty.
What in the actual F are you doing? Your son is missing. Do you even consider what happens if he comes home? I mean, he is autistic. He has been out in the woods for quite a significant amount of time, and they're running away from home and considering to sell their home? In 30 days of this child, like this is, it's their behavior. If I had to identify what makes me feel like they are so guilty, it's not the evidence that we have right now. It's them. It's the Proudfoots. It's Katie. It's Chris. It's them.
So first, just express, I can't even imagine as a parent what you two are going through.
Now we're switching over to the behavior panel, and I think this is chronicle of Olivia's interview. I live on the 4th floor and my laundry room is on the 1st floor. Just hate doing it. I would hate to do the laundry myself. If I had to carry my laundry down 4 flights of stairs, I would not be going back up them stairs until it was all washed and folded back into the laundry basket and carried upstairs. Then I'd hang it. I used to live on the 2nd story apartment, and I hated doing laundry. When I lived in Arkansas, my sister, or if some of the kids didn't have a washer and dryer, I got company because people like to come to my house to do laundry. So I enjoyed laundry day then. All I need is Jesus. I hate doing laundry too. I got asthma and COPD, and I have to go in my basement. I can understand that. My husband and I have our basement as our own private space. I have my eBay stuff in one side. He has his office in the other side, and our bedroom is what would be a living room if it was an apartment, because our basement could be a whole apartment with the full bathroom and everything down there. And then upstairs, we have 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, and the laundry's in the hallway upstairs with our living room, kitchen, dining room. And I use my dining room as my office. Who should be in jail? Oh, Chris and Katie? I thought you were telling me and Amanda need to be in jail. I'm sorry. Yes, I do believe that. I think whatever happened to Sebastian, to make him not be here was child abuse. And it'll come out one day. It will come out one day.
How would you describe the situation right now? How are you coping?
Oh, I forgot to say this. When it's got the green band around this is actually the interview going to be analyzed by the behavior panel.
We're on a constant roller coaster ride of helpless and hopeless and many other emotions all in one, and it's a never-ending roller coaster. It doesn't stop. It won't stop until he walks through the door.
Thank you, Amanda Panda.
I wouldn't wish this on anyone. Not anyone.
I know we're about keeping hope alive. I'm sure that's in there somewhere.
Oh, yeah. Always. He's going to walk through that door. And the street will be flooded again with family and relatives all waiting to hug and love him. And
Whoops. Brown Eye Girl says, in my opinion, arrests are coming. I agree. I think so too.
That boy's gonna have more friends than he knows what to do with when he comes home.
So, all right, Greg, what do you got?
Yeah, so let's first off start by talking about there's so much information, disinformation, misinformation out there about this case, and what we're going to have to do is rely on what we can see. So what we're not doing is telling you what the facts are any more than we have learned from this channel or that channel. In the beginning, there were people saying that the father was left the night before, and then there are people who say he'd been in Memphis for 2 weeks, his stepfather. So there's a ton of stuff here, and what we're going to do is tell you what we see. Some of you are going to be irritated.
Amanda, the behavior panel said that's self-soothing. And they said that they noticed, we'll get there in just a minute. They noticed that she'll rock 3 times, Chris will take a breath. She'll rock 3 times, Chris will take a breath. April T, I hope arrests come sooner than later. I agree. 100% I agree with you.
But that's okay. That's part of it. But what I want to start with is saying this guy's a tower crane operator. You know what a tower crane is? It's you climb up a...
I call that autocorrect. I blame autocorrect.
really big ladder and operate a crane. You're moving stuff around over people's heads all the time. So if he's not as flappable, not as shaky, doesn't bother me, because I think, okay, here's a guy who does something that's kind of high stress for a living. That part's one thing. But what I am going to do is compare him to him, not him to me or him to Mark or him to Scott or him to Chase. We're going to look at what we see in him and look for deviations. In the beginning, she's doing an adapter that is awfully close to what I usually refer to as trancer. Trancer from a True Crime Workshop, where a person makes themselves emotionally unavailable to you by some kind of movement, by too much overwhelming emotion, but she isn't unaffected. She's available, so don't take that out of your mind that just because she's swaying means she's doing something. It means she's comforting self, because that release of nervous energy is comforting. There's a clear handoff from her to him, and if you don't think that's a handoff, you're not paying attention to what they're doing. That doesn't mean that she said, if I cry, if I laugh, if I do, you need to do this. It means that he sees that she needs that relief. Could be scripted, don't know, but his language in there is awfully wooden and awkward, which tells me that this is probably when they were thinking about, what are we going to say? He's going to say it's been an emotional roller coaster, because the language seems awkward. It doesn't seem accurate or upfront. It's okay, because that's what people do. There's also a couple of other little bitty pieces of body language, and then I'll go to something else, let you guys cover the rest. But he does kind of, that's fair, body language when he's asked the question that he should have considered about, I forget exactly what it is. Oh yeah, when she says, there's still hope, right? And he's like, oh yeah, there's hope. I should have said.
April T says, that handoff was obvious in the 1-year interview. I agree. I agree. Did you say it's 39 degrees where you're at, Brown Eye Girls? Where the heck are you, sweetheart? You must be up there in South Dakota or something. Good night. Good night.
That should have thought of that's what I see in that body language. There is, however, some really interesting body language when they talk about friends, and when they talk about a lot of people coming back. He's going to have more friends than he's had in the past. And her lead into that, the stress on that word friends, makes me wonder, was there some kind of an altercation about his access to people that she feels guilty for, she feels something about, because that comes up pretty strong in both their body language and in her stressing of the body language, or of the word. Chase, what do you got?
Yeah, and to mirror Greg, we're here to analyze the behavior only of Sebastian's parents. And first and foremost, I want to emphasize that there's an outpouring of community support for Sebastian, and our focus is solely on understanding the behavioral dynamics of.
It's currently 75 here right now.
Of what's going on and how it might contribute to Sebastian's getting back home. So this is not about assigning blame or guilt. So we're just doing an opinion here to help in any way that we can. So with this rocking back and forth, I think it's a self-soothing behavior that people very often exhibit when they're under a lot of stress or they're going through some high level of anxiety. It's a way for our body to comfort itself in the absence of external comfort. And then there's a smile when she turns to her husband here, and this is likely disbelief.
It feels so good when you can open up the doors and let the air come through your house and get all the winter mucky smell out. Yeah, I like that. Not that my house stinks or anything. You can walk in, you can't tell I have a cat, trust me. Or 3 dogs. But if you go in my backyard, then you can tell I have 3 dogs because they're going to maul you down. Only with love. Only with love. Unless I'm not home.
Not some kind of joy or happiness about the moment. This is why we talk about context and when those behaviors occur. It's so important. And for now, I'm just going to assume it's baseline until I see more with this rocking and stuff. And when she says he's going to walk through that door, or no, he says this, when he's going to walk through that door, there's a lip pursing behavior right there, which is a little unusual. You see this kind of lip pursing. And this is most often a nonverbal sign of disagreement or disapproval. And sometimes it's like a person's holding back something they don't want to say, or they're expressing doubt about what they just said. And they're not looking at each other, and they're not responding to each other's statements. And I think this could be a sign that there's no rehearsal. But it could also indicate there's something going on between them, like some emotional drama, which I'm sure there is, especially if Sebastian's missing and they're both innocent. And in the videos we've seen like this one, where we do know the outcome, this behavior is more common in people who are innocent. But there could be more to see here, and I think this single behavior doesn't spell anything definitive. I'm not hearing his name mentioned yet, but if I hear minimal mention of a missing person's name, which you've heard us talk about before, and there's no other indicators, like big piles of indicators that indicate deception, it's just a data point. So I keep that in my back pocket until I see a cluster of behavior. Scott, what do you got?
All right, thanks, man. I agree with you. I'm seeing a lot of the same things you guys have seen so far. But right out of the gate, there's a little something with each of them that bothered me a little bit. Like we were talking about before, doesn't mean they're innocent, doesn't mean they're guilty. Nothing. I'm just telling you what I see. We're just telling you what we see. He shows no emotion toward her whatsoever. It's a flat effect and no grief, no concern. And he looks really rested. And that rocking she's doing back and forth, we see this throughout all the videos we're going to see today. What we'll look for during this, pay attention to this, is fascinating the way this works. You'll see them rock in tandem a few times, especially at the beginning of the first one to answer. As she's rocking, he'll start rocking with her. So he's matching her rocking. Now, I'm sure, like what you were talking about, Chase, the emotional thing between them is she may have just sealed herself off. She's probably in such a big upheaval of emotion. She's short with him. He's trying to be cool because she's worried about a kid, is what I would think. That's what I took out of that. Her eyes are red. She's not rested. She looks like she should look. And that upheaval emotion that we see, she's suddenly reliving that horror. I always talk about that on here, how we're not seeing that. So that's one of the things we're seeing with someone who we haven't seen with people who aren't innocent. She's got a new Kleenex. Now, if you remember, the last person we looked at that was crying and all that stuff, constantly wiping their eyes and doing their nose with the same Kleenex. And it's just this balled up little ball. Hers isn't, it's new. And notice how many times during these videos, she doesn't wipe tears and she doesn't wipe her nose. She does it a couple of times because those are the times that she needs it. People who are faking this usually are under the impression, I should have tears coming out, so I'll keep doing this. And notice when she uses that Kleenex here at the first, where she just does it on the top of her nose. So I thought that was interesting as well. Not saying she's innocent, not saying she's guilty, but these are just things that I'm noticing anyway. And then she's not looking at him at all. Doesn't look at him at all, but he does look at her as they go through. So, all right, Mark, what do you got?
Yeah, very much the same. Look, there's time has passed since they had, notified the police, and this interview is happening. Maybe as much as, what do you think, Greg? Like 8 days or something like that?
Yeah, 8 days, 9 days.
Around about that.
Yeah.
Around about that. Okay, so look, it's time for them to organise a story together if they wanted to. So, look, they could organise a story together. What they can't organise is the synchronicity of their movement. That choreography would take a lot of rehearsal, and it's consistent. She rocks back and forth 3 times. He breathes in and out. There's this waltz timing going on throughout. You can't rehearse that stuff. They're absolutely in synchronous movement. That would suggest, just as you're saying, Scott, that there is a shared experience, a shared emotion. If there wasn't anything shared, it would be very hard to organize that subtle synchronous level of
one thing I did miss though was that they do look at each other in that one. I for a second I thought we're looking at number 2. They look at each other for about 2.5 seconds on this one. So sorry about that. Sorry to jump in, but I had to make sure I said that.
Sure. They also talk about hope. Chase, to your point of there is something unsaid. There's a possibility here of a loss of hope and a sense of hope at the same time, having to balance the 2 things together, hold those 2 ideas. You've got to remain hopeful at the same time. You may be losing hope. So I think they talk about hope, though. There's some closed lips there from the male, from the father. He uses the idea of that boy rather than maybe she does as well. We're not often throughout this going to hear Sebastian named, often called that boy. I would suggest that's more likely cultural than them trying to distance themselves. It's more likely a term of endearment. That's all I got on that one. Early days, but looks to me pretty good from moment one, just on the synchronicity that they have together, which is tough to organise. That they could have organised a story. That's all I got on that one.
Yeah, we're all talking about this and synchronicity and all that. As couples get to a certain behavior mark, to your point, he knows what to expect. He knows that how many times she's going to sniffle, how many times she's going to cry, what she's going to. He probably has some of that already in his head from the amount of time they're together. And we do it on a subconscious level, even at some point.
And couples are in sync when they're being honest. They fall out of sync during those times when we're pretending.
That's one of the things that bothered me doing this. As when we first started this, I'd made up my mind. I knew I had made up my mind about something in this, and I'm just not sure about it at this point. But that's one of the things that swayed me up.
So that's the end of the video. What do you think? I mean, you guys have been talking to me, so I do appreciate that. Well, I think in the beginning, that part it's easy to be honest about. He did send up some signals, of course. But yeah, being honest with each other. Yeah, we both know we're lying, so we got to do the same thing. So, but later in the like tomorrow, we'll get into some of the lies. Like, Chris didn't show any emotion. And that hit me hard. He shows no emotion until he starts getting up on other people's panels, and then he starts getting angry and showing the real Chris Proudfoot. And like when he was yelling at Terry Lynn and getting ugly with Smiley Stories World. And when he got up on I'm going to say ET because I don't remember what the ET stands for. I just watched that one interview and he got up there. Yes, he's very defensive. Yes, Amanda, he's very defensive. And the fact that she doesn't cry or wipe her tears or anything during this, just, But I also did notice that at one point, before she did the nose thing, she went, and that's one of her signals that she's about to tell a lie. And I think this time she didn't want to tell a lie, so she handed it off to Chris with the tissue. Because I've noticed that anytime I think she's about to tell a lie, she will inhale, close her eyes, and like that. And to me, it's because she knows she's about to lie, but she didn't lie. And April T said, I think they're both detached. She's stressed, of course, but he doesn't care one bit about Sebastian, in my opinion. Only cares about himself and Joe people see him. Yeah. And the people who see him, yeah. Okay. I agree with you, April T. So that's all I have for tonight. I'll thank everybody for being here. There were 10 people here at one point. That's the most I've ever had here at one time. But thank you all for being here. The 8 people that are here, I'm about to close out the stream. Please hit the thumbs up on your way out. How many thumbs up do I have right now? I agree, Brown Eye. I agree. I can't talk. Y'all can't spell and I can't talk. In my opinion, he's a true narcissist. I agree with that. April T says 7. We have 7 thumbs up. Thank you, everybody. You don't know how much that means to me. Last week, thank you, Brown Eye Girls. Last week, it took me 3 years to get there, but we hit 90,000 views on this channel, and I'm so thankful. And yes, thank you everybody for hitting that thumbs up. I appreciate it. I really do. So if y'all go to Brittany T's channel tonight, I will see you there. If not, I bought some trash bags when I was at the store. So I got a big pile of leaves I cleaned up out of my flower bed that I need to get out there and get into a trash bag. So thank you for being here. Do something nice for someone, even if it's just be the reason they smile and get luck.